Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm JJ, the psychotherapist. Um, we're going WEF pushes plans to seize control of oxygen supply. They are literally trying to control the air you breathe. Um, I talk about this before. I need to really find that clip of that of when Chris Rock came out with one of his comedy specials. He talked about how everything was expensive back then. I think this was in the '90s, and he's like, sooner or later they're gonna charge you to breathe. Like, oh man, I ain't pay my I ain't pay my I ain't pay my bill to breathe, and then somebody oxygen getting cut off. He made a joke about that, but this is what literally what the WEF is trying to push. And we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna show the clips. We're gonna give the receipts. We're gonna show these evil entities. We're gonna let these evil entities speak for themselves, and we can draw our own conclusions from that. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. All right, hold on one second. I'm still getting stuff set up here. Grab my earbuds here, because we have a bunch of clips to show. Let's see here. Make sure I'm not missing anything. One second. Okay, that's weird. My phone is not opening. Hold on one second. Get this stuff up. Okay. Okay. All right, let me share this out. Share this out on X really quick. Really quick. We live. All right, I posted it on X. All right. All right, so let's get into this stuff here. Oops. All right. So, World Economic Forum, or WEF members, have begun discussing plans to seize control of all elements of nature that humans rely on for survival, such as food, water, and even the oxygen supply. I mean, that's, again, Chris Rock made a joke about it in the '90s, and these evil people are literally trying to do that. But during the WEF annual meeting of the new champions, also known as Summer Davos, in Dalian, China, globalists declared that natural systems are finite and must be corporatized. During a Summer Davos panel discussion, WEF speaker Lindsay Hooper blasted members of the general public for expecting water and oxygen to be unlimited and free. How dare us, right? How dare us think that God's given natural resources should be free. Hooper, the University of Cambridge Institute for Sustainability Leadership CEO, argued that food, water, and oxygen are, quote, forms of natural capital that global elites must put, quote, on the balance sheets. Oxygen though, oxygen? How are they gonna make that work? But, quote, we can't do business on a dead planet, she warned fellow WEF members gathered for the annual event. Hooper pushed the plan during the panel titled Understanding Nature's Ledger. During the panel, globalists argued that every part of the economy depends on nature. They concluded that in order to protect natural systems, unelected corporate elites must, quote, bring nature onto the balance sheet. What? She said, quote, if we're going to protect natural systems, one of the solutions is to bring nature onto the balance sheet, bring nature into the ways that decisions are made within business to allocate a value to it, to bring into accounting and financial mechanism. Hooper explained. Let's play this clip here. Here we go.
Is at the moment, the way that decisions are made on an everyday level within businesses and financial institutions is because we're looking only at financial data, financial metrics that are not factoring in nature. Nature is treated within the economy as though it's unlimited and predominantly as though it's free. And the risks and harms are simply not costed in financial terms. We can cost them at a macro level. They're not costed into day-to-day decision-making. And the result is, as a consequence, we've put all of our economies at fundamental risk. We can't do business on a dead planet. If we're going to protect natural systems, one of the solutions is to bring nature onto the balance sheet, to bring nature into the ways that decisions are made within business, to allocate a value to it, and to bring it into accounting and financial mechanisms.
They literally want to own Mother Nature. They literally want to own Mother Nature. Hooper warned WEF members that efforts to further expand wealth and power are, quote, not sustainable on a finite planet. According to Hooper, the ways in which we have grown our economies, our models of economic development, have been incredibly successful for global prosperity. The unintended consequences of current models of growth are simply not sustainable on a finite planet. Says you. Hooper's words echo those of WEF founder Klaus Schwab. At the Summer Davos opening plenary on Tuesday, Schwab said that there were limits to growth. Schwab told global elites that ushering in the globalist agenda will require humanity to be forced into collaboration with the unelected organization, as Slay News reported. Again, no one voted for these people. These people just come out the woodworks because they got money. They think they can come in and they can use their money to influence and to control us. How dare them? How dare them have the audacity to try to control us and tell us what's best, what's good for us? But he argues that economic growth and more peaceful future will come from reducing population numbers. I told you these people are they want to depopulate the planet. Population numbers and embracing innovations such as artificial intelligence while using the green agenda to advance policy change. And that's exactly what they do. They're using the green agenda. They're using the global warming lie to herd us together and to control us. But at the end of his address, Schwab returned to the topic of the fourth industrial revolution while revisiting this year's theme, saying that there were limits to growth. Here we go. Let's watch this clip here.
The theme of this annual meeting is Next Frontiers for Growth. But actually, what we have seen in the presentations, there are now limits to growth, provided we use technologies of the fourth industrial revolution in a wise manner, as the Prime Minister of Vietnam said, in a human-centered way.
He's a
provided
Bond villain.
We take care of nature and see the green economy as a great opportunity for humankind and also for stimulating the economy, provided also we fully exploit the innovational and entrepreneurial capability of the people sitting here in the room by formulating effective means of cooperation between governments and business, and finally, and most importantly, by working together on a global level, always being aware that we are humanity with a shared destiny. In this respect, I invite you to join me in extending again our warm applause to Premier Li, President Duda, and Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh.
This guy's a Bond villain. He is a Bond villain. But as Slate News reported, Limits to Growth is a nod to the Club of Rome, Club of Rome book of the same name, published in 1972. I remember that book. The book is a manifesto for reducing the global population of humans. These people hate normal, regular people and want to get rid of us. They think it's too many of us, we're useless eaters, and it's hard to control us because it's so many of us. That's why they have a depopulation plan in place. But the book's author, Dennis Meadows, is a WEF member and is considered an architect of the organization's anti-human agenda. As Slate News had previously reported, and I talked about him before as well, Meadows advocated for global elites to orchestrate a mass depopulation event to wipe out 86% of the human race. Now they're up to 90-something percent. They're up to 90-something percent now from the world. I can't remember the lady name from the World Economic Forum that said we need to depopulate over 90% of the population. So they're up to 90 now. This is an outdated number. But he argues that the elites left behind would have a better life with fewer humans on Earth. After making a subtle nod to this agenda, Schwab says that these limits can be overcome by using technologies of the fourth industrial revolution wisely. See, and they say these things and they make these slick comments and reference these books because they know the average person, the average American, the average person in the world, actually, not just American, the average person doesn't know about this book. They don't know about the depopulation plan. So they make these slick comments and these references, and it goes over most people's heads. But he asserted that the green agenda must be promoted as a great opportunity for humankind. During the WEF panel of Understanding Nature's Ledger, Hooper warned that nature should never be treated within the economy as though it were free and unlimited. I'm just going to play the clip here instead of reading this quote. Here we go.
We know that every aspect of every part of the economy is fundamentally dependent on nature, as you highlighted. The air that we breathe, the water we drink, the soil, the oceans that we need for the food that we need to consume, the minerals that we need as inputs to technology and to infrastructure. And without these forms of value, these forms of natural capital, we won't have economies. They are the fundamental building blocks of our economies. But the ways, as you said, the ways in which we have grown our economies, our models of economic development, have been incredibly successful for global prosperity. But the unintended consequences of the current models of growth are simply not sustainable on a finite planet. The amount of resource that we are drawing into our economies, Earth's resources, and the amount of pollution and waste that we're pumping out, whether that's through greenhouse gas emissions, whether that's sewage into our water, whether it's plastics into the ocean, is beyond the Earth's carrying capacity. And we know that that's leading, as you said, to very significant direct impacts for society, but very significant financial costs for the economy. And you can look at that as you have and calculate that at a macro level. But the way that that's showing up as we're breaching these boundaries and breaching these limits and undermining nature is showing up in very practical ways that are showing up for financial risk for institutions. Lack of water is leading to disruption of operations, of supply chains where water is needed as an essential input for manufacturing or power production. The degradation of soil is leading to reduced agricultural yields. The decline of pollinator species is also having an impact on agriculture. So that's leading to direct financial risks for organizations, for businesses, and ultimately for investors.
Just evil. They want to control every aspect of our lives. They want to control. They want to tax us to breathe. And it's coming. It's definitely coming. But the article goes on to say, according to Hooper, it is because every part of the economy is fundamentally dependent on nature. As a result, globalists must seize control of the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the soil, the oceans that we need for the food that we need to consume, the minerals that we need as inputs to technology and into infrastructure, Hooper declared. Without these forms of value, these forms of natural capital, we won't have economies, she said. They are the fundamental building blocks of the economies. In addition to putting nature on the balance sheet, Another proposal coming at the end of the panel discussion suggests putting a tax on natural systems like water in the same vein as carbon taxes. Here we go. Tax us into oblivion, regulate us into oblivion. But in her presentation, WEF Managing Director for Nature and Climate, Jim Huey Neo, said that, quote, integrating natural capital to our accounting framework should happen soon. He said, we need to keep pushing while continuing to refine and enhance. And the best example I could give is carbon pricing, Neo told WEF members. So let's play that clip here. Here we go.
That we cannot let perfection be the enemy of good, right? Accounting standards took 150 years. I hope integrating natural capital into our accounting frameworks is not going to take another 100 because we don't have 100 years. In fact, I'm not even sure we have 10 years to wait, right? So we need to keep pushing while continuing to...
Hold on, I got to stop for a second. How many times they keep telling us we have 5 years, we have 10 years, we have 12 years. If we don't do something, it's going to be the end. New York is going to be covered in water. Florida is going to be gone. How many times they say this? The date comes and nothing happens. You know, they keep on fear mongering. They try to get us to make us give up our sovereignty and give them the control that they want. So they keep fear mongering. They keep telling us, oh, 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, and it gets here and nothing happens.
To refine and enhance, and the best example I can give is carbon pricing. So today, carbon pricing, ETSs, carbon taxes already cover about 25% of global emissions, right? We should actually look at scaling this, right, to cover all 100% of carbon emissions. And beyond carbon, let's think about other aspects of nature that are easier to quantify. We probably will not be able to quantify everything on day one, but what about water, right? That's also quite possible for us to start integrating systematically into current trading carbon pricing mechanisms.
I mean, again, they wanna regulate us. They wanna tax us out of existence. But global elites have been increasingly pushing similar plans in recent years. However, at the COP27 in November 2022, former Bank of England advisor and G20 co-chairman Michael Sharon said that carbon was, quote, moving very quickly into a system where it's going to be close to a currency. He asserted that next on the agenda was the tokenization of nature and biodiversity, where places like Indonesia, Brazil, and Africa would be absolutely critical. Quote, carbon, we already figured out, and carbon is moving very quickly into a system where it's going to be very close to a currency, basically being able to take a ton of absorbent or sequestered carbon and being able to create a forward pricing curve with financial service architecture documentation, said Sharon. And with carbon being close to a currency, quote, there are going to be derivatives. So they'll take that currency, break it down and keep breaking it down. But he then declared that next on the agenda is the tokenization of water, trees, oxygen, and just about everything else in nature. So here we go. I'm just going to play this clip.
So central banks are also starting to understand nature has real value. Carbon, we already figured out. And carbon is moving very quickly into a...
Basically saying, carbon, we already figured out how to milk that. We already figured out how to tax that, how to squeeze money from people with carbon. So we already figured that out. Next, we need to try to figure out how to do that with oxygen. Wow, these people do not quit.
System where it's going to be very close to a currency. Basically being able to take a ton of absorbed or sequestered carbon and being able to create a forward pricing curve with financial service architecture, documentation. I just came out of a meeting this morning how we're trying to accelerate that. To be quite honest, not to get very boring, but we're on financial topics and things, but they're going to be derivatives. And you need ISDA documentation if you want to trade a derivative in the marketplace. And all of this actually matters for nature as well. I'm going to quickly hand off, but again, I want to talk about value one more time, because the southern part of the world has value far greater than large elements of the northern part. And we start thinking about and putting prices on water, on trees, on biodiversity, we find, where does that sit? I'm doing a lot of work out of Asia, and I say that my next door neighbor, Indonesia, is the left lung of the world, and obviously Brazil's the right, and Africa, absolutely critical. And we need their natural capital as a system-based world more than we need that 66 billion we've got sitting in the basement of the Bank of England. So how do we, and I'm hoping this discussion today, at least from a central banker's point of view, on how do we start tokenizing, how do we start building systems that actually create not only the value, but transfer that value around the world.
So basically he's asking, how can we go in and steal places like Africa and Brazil's natural resources and take those resources and monetize those resources? How can we use those resources and then tax people because of those resources? That's what he's talking about here. But during this year's WEF annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland in January, a similar panel was held called Putting a Price on Nature. Amid the discussion, Amazonian community leader, I'm gonna kill his name, Uncar Domingo Piez Nampique said that it was impossible to put a price on a sacred on a sacred living ecosystem. Quote, when we speak about Mother Earth and other ecosystem, when larger companies speak about its value, for us, the ecosystem is a sacred ecosystem. There's no value to it. It's invaluable, he said. Nevertheless, during the annual Davos event in 2022, one WEF member pitched plans to trigger a global water crisis as a means to usher in control over the masses. So they want, see, this is the Hungarian dialectic. They create the crisis, and then they come in. They had a crisis, have people come in and complain about the crisis, and then they come in and offer a solution. That's the Hungarian dialectic: problem, reaction, solution. As Slate News reported, WEF spokesperson Professor Marina Mazzucato argues that a crisis centered around water will deliver where COVID and climate change both failed. Said, quote, "You need water," Mazzucato asserted during a panel discussion before an audience of salivating globalists. So there you have it. These globalists are evil, evil, evil. They are the epitome of evil. They feign like they care about us regular people, us plebes, but they really don't. They really hate us. They have a disdain for us. They want to destroy us. They want to depopulate us, and they literally tell you what they want to do to you before they try to do it. And these evil people, they can't hide it. I think it's something. I think it's something that God ordained, where these evil people have to explain themselves before they try to do their evil deeds. I don't know. It's weird. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com. I'm going to be doing more live stuff like this. And let me know what y'all think about this live, the live stuff that I do. Until next time, thanks for checking me out. Peace.